Just imagine, when you live in a world full of death and despair, you can never feel it anymore. But in your life, there are negativities and there are consequences, there are happiness and there are confusement. But then things actually change the opposite way for you. You feel the stress, you feel the pain. You don't want to live anymore. Today, as Emily, we was talked about the 3 secrets of resilient people. This first started where I just told you about the death and despair. But actually, we're gonna go all confused that. We're gonna go through that instead of being in the world. The pit is always staying there. But instead, we move on to another world. We can live and we can grow. The strong and the most amenable idea is here as actually adversity doesn't discriminate. We have to use tough times to go over them. This week she was studying about resilience. Then she will cause about earthquakes and how we can befriend the others, sparks their heart. And then there's this strategy that we have. This person named Holland. She had a daughter in 2014 died in Anne. She had this strategy throughout the world, but she will prove to us that we can go through all these things through 3 parts, the 3 steps that we can go on. We're gonna prove that. First strategy is actually resilient people that get that shit happens. Where's the first main idea? Shit isn't where we say about the things that in the cabin or dirty, but it's the shit, it's the consequences, the tragedies, the funded problems that we often go through that makes our heart and our own insides never want to live anymore. We don't want to communicate, we don't want to go on. You want to stay there and die with them. But when you have to understand that shit actually happens, we understand that this is the suffer part of life, it's the human part, it's human existence. These consequences and also abilities will happen. And we have to be a part of it. We're not welcoming it. But instead, we're saying that it was a part of us. We can never believe we're going to even move it. Even though tough times comes, we have to ask, not actually ask why me, but saying ask them why, not me. We have to understand the others but experience it too. Even though we not know that we're living a perfect life, people have shown that, but it was wrong. We might feel jealous, we might feel pain, but this is where life everybody has. Second, resilient people are really good at choosing carefully where to like their attention. This is where they have a second tragedy where her little daughter died of an illness that was strong. All this idea have to focus that it can change, we can change. We have to accept that they can, we can't do anything to them. That's just where we can become more resilient. And third, we have to be human, we can notice weakness abilities. So we know the weakness of ourselves. Like when we have the negative feeling, we have like recto, but the others when we were happiness and also filled with kindness, it was disappear like a flick of a candle. Nothing ever sticks to us too much, but we can overcome it and we can go through it. This negative didn't stick us like retro, but it's come more easier, like a flick of light. Which is the tragedy, even stress and despair. She's thinking that she might want to die. She don't want to live, she want to move on. But in our heart, we understand that we live. Why are we all here? God made us here, so we have to be here. And if we have any relative left, we have to care as much as we can. Live our fullest life, and everybody must have a happy ending. But how can we make this a happy ending? Or how can we make these people even live in despair if they can't? So in 2005, there's an experiment where people actually did an experiment where they tried to ask us every day the citizens had to find what 3 things they're most grateful for. All for 6 months, these things will improve the people, more people, and more communities and societies are more happy. Their own emotions were higher by 6 months. The third strategy, ask yourself, is what I'm doing helping or hurting myself? This is the strong question that used often indirectly. This tells us that, for example, you're thinking you might want to go and die. Like, yeah? Is this, you think it's a kind of good idea you want to reunite? But when you ask yourself that question, focus on your surrounding. If you're living in, like you have a wife and husband right now, you think about them. Where would they go? Where would they live? If they have more children, you say, who would care for them? The father? Is that all impossible? What would affect them? What about me? What if I die? What will I be remembered of? I didn't have the goal to live like far away, but the goal is to live fruitfully, like every insect, even though they don't have ending, but they still live an enormous and fulful life. In conclusion, we must have the most positive ever. By asking these three strategies, we can help us to improve and move in the future. Thank you for listening.